Welcome to the current affairs discussion on Amrita IAS. 2024 is a pincer movement for democracies across the world. At least half of the world, almost 64 countries are going for elections at some levels or the other this year. For example, India is going for elections in this April-May month. US is going for elections in the November 2024. Then we have other countries like Russia, South Korea, South Africa, Indonesia. These are some countries that are going for elections this year. Also, most recently, we had our neighbors, Pakistan, Bangladesh and Maldives going for the elections. And the elections there have significant repercussions on the neighborhood and especially India. Now, looking into the election procedures and the election news, you might get confused because different countries, they follow different patterns of elections. So, in this video, what we are going to try and understand is to differentiate between the different process of elections that are being followed by different countries. Firstly, we need to ask the question what elections are and why we need to conduct an election. Democracy essentially means people make the laws that govern themselves. Now, in a large population, there comes a practical difficulty. People cannot every day come forward and directly participate in each and every decision that are going to matter to them. So, they select representatives who will take these decisions on their behalf. And the process of selecting these representatives, these are known as the elections. Now, there are different ways in which these representatives can be selected. Looking to India, India forms a parliamentary form of government following the first past the post system. Here the entire country is divided into different Lok Sabha constituencies, 543 to be exact, and the people from these constituencies, they will elect one member to represent them, and all the members from these constituencies across the country, that's 543 members, they come to the Lok Sabha and they vote for a government, and the party which secures 50% support of the members of the Lok Sabha, that party will form the executive. The parliamentary form of system is such that which requires the continuous and the constant support of these 50% of the members of the legislature to remain in the power. As and when they lose the confidence of these members, they will lose the power and there will be another voting within the house to select a new government, and if a new government cannot be selected during that time, a fresh election will be held. So, this is how the parliamentary system works in India. You might have heard terms like non-confidence motion, you might have had the fresh elections before the term of the 5-year term ending. So, these are the ways in which the elections in India actually functions. Now, remember we talked about one term which is known as the first past the post system. So, in this system, regardless of the number of the votes a person actually gets, the person who gets the highest number of votes among all the candidates will be elected as the winner. So, for this kind of a election process to work, we need to divide the countries into constituencies, and each constituency will be sending in one representative. Now, this parliamentary system that we talked about, it is being followed in India and the UK, the United Kingdom. Now, there is also another form of parliamentary representation which is known as proportional representation, which is being followed in countries like Israel. In this type of system, the political parties, they releases a list of the candidates who will be representing them, and the people will be voting for the list rather than individual candidates. And proportional to the number of votes the political party receives, they will be given proportional seats within the parliament. And these members who have been selected by the party itself, they will go into the parliament and they will vote for a new government. So, here also it's a parliamentary form of government. It means that the government, it needs the continuous support of the legislature to remain in power. So, first past the post system and proportional representation are two ways of parliamentary system of democracy. Now, if you look into the US model, we have something known as the presidential system of election. In the US model, we have two entities. The first one is the government or the executive, which will be formed by the president. And for selecting him, they have the presidential election, and the parliament, it will be separate from the president. It will be selected by another process involving constituencies. And the functions are also quite different, whereby the president will be taking care of the day-to-day activities. He will be taking executive decisions. At the same time, the legislature, they will be taking care of the function of making the laws that will be governing the country. Now the US elections that are going to take place in the November are the presidential election, and the clear picture has almost emerged with Joe Biden and Donald Trump to face off each other. Now, understanding the US election, so you might be reading the newspaper and people interested in international relations, they would be keen to read or they should be keen to read the elections that are going to happen in the US. Now, understanding requires, understanding this election, you need to know that there are two political parties in the US, the Democrats and the Republicans. Many of the members in the Democrats and the Republicans, they would want to become the president. So, almost 1 year before the election, they'll start their campaign. Many of the candidates belonging to two of these parties, they would want to become the president. So, almost a year before the general elections, they would be starting their campaign for their presidency. So, this time we had a few of the US candidates, potential candidates who were of Indian origin. You might remember Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley. They had their roots in India and they were standing for the US elections. Now, after these debates, the party members, the Democrats and the Republicans separately, they'll vote for the best candidates who is going to represent them for the general elections. Now, after the end of the primary, they'll have the national convention where the two official candidates, they'll travel across the country, they'll put in debates, they'll talk with the people, and it's a campaign period that we are going to see in the US, similar to what we are seeing in India. At the end of the campaign period, that's in November 2024 to be exact, there will be the general elections. Now, during the general elections, the people of each of the states, they will be voting for one president and his running mate who would be becoming the vice president. Now, even though they are voting for the exact president, they are actually selecting few electors who would be representing them in the union. These electors, they will go to the union and they will cast their votes. And the president or the candidate who gets more than 50% of the electoral college votes, he'll become the US president. So, this is the US presidential elections that we are going to see, and the primary is almost complete, and we can, the clear picture that we have emerged is Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Unless there are some issues regarding Trump's candidacy, regarding the Capitol Hill riot that happened towards the end of last general elections in the US. So, regarding elections, 2024 is an year that we need to closely look forward to in terms of democracy as a concept, in terms of international cooperation, and in terms of individual decision making. So, let me conclude by saying that elections are an important area where you need to have an informed choice, and it is the responsibility of each and every citizen to go and put in his choice as his vote. So, let me conclude, or let me end this session by calling you all towards having a fruitful time voting for your candidates, and make sure that you vote for your favorite candidate, you make an informed choice, and be part of the policy decisions that are going to shape the India at least in the next coming 5 years. Thank you.
Amrita IAS Academy.